As top fashion photographer Ben Weller and Mr. Porter stylist Dan May choreographed the first-time models, Cassidy's Sergeant Major's shout of, "Whatever you say, boss," or "Yes, ma'am," to the production director rang out in the studio. When I asked Cassidy to model, having met him at Headley Court as an ex-patient and now unsurprisingly presenting on BFBS, he commented, "Ma'am, I'll do whatever you ask, but tell me if I'm not going to turn up with the professional models and look like some F-word one-legged goose." Everyone loved the day, and Ben Weller offered work experience to the injured servicemen interested in photography, which will be invaluable. I would also like to thank the Crown Estate covering the cost of Spencer House, who have given us a very generous charitable rate in support, and Chris at Spencer House, who has made the planning such a joy, and Paul Roger, who have given many free bottles of their delicious champagne, Winston Churchill's favourite, who quoted, "In defeat I need it, in victory I deserve it." We know who deserves it tonight. We were in the shop discussing their kind offer when Matt Weston, one of the models, came to visit and commented that Winston Churchill's words, "If you are going through hell, keep going," kept him going during his unimaginable time in hospital after losing 3 limbs following an IED blast in Afghanistan. Matt then met Alex Perkins at the photo shoot and discovered to their mutual enjoyment that Alex was Churchill's great-grandson. Matt won a bravery medal in Afghanistan for his work saving lives in bomb disposal with the Royal Engineers, and Alex has been a vital voice in the protection of Afghan interpreters, and you can meet both of them here tonight. The flowers are by Angela from Vive la Rose again, who has a beautiful flower shop in the Opera Arcade, and in support of the injured service personnel has almost given them to us. In the great room upstairs, you will see paintings by Arabella Dorman, who has spent many months courageously painting the life of soldiers and civilians deep in Afghanistan, and Caroline de Pericoff's portraits of injured servicemen, which she is painting as gifts for them, and they are both happily here for you to meet. Any serviceman interested in being painted, do talk to Caroline, and Arabella has kindly offered work experience for those interested in painting. On display is Caroline's portrait of the notorious Anthony Cooper, and this is up in the beautiful great room above us. One of Headley Court's many stars. I was taken to see Anthony on arrival at Headley several years ago, and he had just arrived from the hospital in Birmingham and was very badly injured with severe burns. I measured him in bed, easing the tape measure under his body as the lovely nurse was keen he had the real bespoke. And his eyes were so badly damaged, I'm not sure he could see. But when I asked him which colour of shirt he would like, he said decisively, "I would like pink, please." I saw Anthony again about a year later, and his transformation was astonishing. He wheeled himself into the room at Headley and radiated fun and sociability. I commented on his incredible recovery and measured Anthony for another shirt. I took Lottie on her first Headley visit a few months ago, and Lottie had the pleasure this time. Anthony told her that he'd been to yet another red carpet event the night before, and proudly showed her a photo of on his phone of Keira Knightley's very convincing double snuggling up to Anthony on his lap. "Wow, was she gorgeous, Anthony?" Lottie asked. "If Keira Knightley had your boobs, Lottie, she'd be perfect." The calibre of person I've met at Headley Court since the casualties to our forces escalated in the last few years, and their humbling gratitude and selfishness is exemplified in our 2 speakers tonight, previously Captain Garth Banks and Lieutenant Alistair Spearing. Garth is an astonishingly brave young man who I have watched adapt with courage and humour following his life-changing injuries. We recently had dinner, and his stories of one young British officer's hair-raising evening in Manhattan being pursued by amorous ladies of the night is worthy of a nasty scuffle between the Telegraph, Spectator, GQ, and Mr. Porter to buy the rights. Garth is much too much of a gentleman to tell it in his speech, especially as his parents, Elaine and John, are in the audience, but it has to be shared. I met Alistair in Headley Court about a year ago, where he showed my daughter Izzy and I the 2 designs he had made for his girlfriend's engagement ring and asked our advice. Ali visited the shop a few weeks later to thank me for the shirt and let me know that the ring had been a success and he and Claire were now engaged. Please raise your glasses to Ali and Claire, who are both with us tonight. He then produced the most beautiful thing. Girls, well done. This, which you must all have a look at afterwards. But it's engraved with EW. And inside you'll see, and there's a little placard. But I'll show you afterwards. A beautiful jewellery box which he had hand-carved himself, lined with suede, sunk brass hinges, and an engraved plaque with a message of thanks. I don't think I need to explain how moved I was and how much I will treasure the beautiful box. We continue to get the most wonderful letters, emails, and texts of thanks in all shades and colours. Thank you very much for the shirt. I should be able to pull lots of women in it. P.S. When your daughter is old enough, I will take her off your hands if you want. Regards, Corporal Wilson. I hope he's here. Style for Soldiers couldn't happen without the financial support of my customers and friends, or the highly skilled shirt-making craftsmanship of the cutters and machinists at our Gloucester factory, who are all here tonight, and I hope you seek them out, because most of you are wearing one of our shirts that they make. And John Faulkner's beautiful ebony walking sticks, which he also makes for us, for Style for Soldiers. Sue Simpson from Lock Hats came with me to Headley Court in October again and made bespoke hats for everyone. One patient apparently wears his bowler hat from morning till night. And if you notice several particularly well-groomed young men here tonight, it's thanks to the fine works of Bond Street's Dolce & Gabbana's master barber, Stefan, who visited Headley Court yesterday for the first time on his day off and worked his magic on them, ready for the party. I have been wanting to introduce grooming at Headley for ages, and I have. I want all sorts, massage, pedicure, manicure, if anyone's got any ideas. And one of our wonderful customers, Jonathan Refoy, introduced me to Stefan. Jonathan said that as his time was ticking on, Stefan was spending less time on his hair, and he'd spend it much more usefully at Headley Court. And Stefan and I have plans for 2015. And to very aptly end on the sweetest thing to have emerged from this strange period in military history, may I introduce our guest of honour tonight, Kath, the Queen of Cakes. Where are you, Kath? Kath, up on the stage, Kath, please. Maybe Kath's probably making cake, probably handing out cakes to somebody, but she's here, and you won't miss. Come on, Kath. Kath, the Queen of Cakes. Kath, the Queen of Cakes. Stay here, Kath. Kath has been baking for the military patients of Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham and Headley Court since 2008 and made literally thousands of cakes for our injured personnel. She is really loved and has been a mother figure to so many people, making them cry with laughter in their beds at her hysterical tales. I've heard many of them. She is normally in a Union Jack dress with HRH of Cake's crown. But yesterday Mother Christmas was at Headley Court for Christmas lunch, providing inflatable snowmen outfits for the nurses and elves costumes for the men, obviously. No wonder Stefan needed to take control afterwards. I now hand you to Garth Banks.
Thank you, Emma. Lords, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, thank you, Emma, for bringing up that story. I think I've probably got some explaining to do to various people in the crowd now, but there we go, another story. Well, thank you all for coming this evening and supporting, really, Emma, her charity, and as she said, all those people who help her along the way. I've only got a few words before I introduce Ali, but I just wanted to say that it takes a little while after being injured to, I suppose, to come to terms with your new look, your new body, as it were, and I suppose your morale takes a little bit of a knock, and I think everyone's a little bit guilty of vanity. I think it's a human thing to different degrees, and I think one's vanity gets hit a little bit because you do look a little bit different, and how you see yourself is affected. So I believe what Emma's done actually is a massive thing. I think it's huge. She's given us back that little bit of confidence, which I think everyone loses. I think that slips away. Because I think it's inevitable. You're not the same person in the mirror, and so I think she's restored that, give back a little bit more pride to go out and face the world. Yeah, just with the head held high in a different way, and it's important to feel good about yourself. Of course, it is. It makes you get up in the morning feeling good, and so I think Emma's helped restore that. And it's a shirt, and it is a shirt, but actually I think it's a little bit more for us. I think it means a little bit more, and actually it does more than that. So thank you, Emma, and thank you to everyone who works with Emma.
Again, good evening, lords, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start by saying how honoured I am to be asked by Emma to speak this evening. I was injured just over 3 years ago, and I met Emma shortly after that on one of her frequent visits to Headley Court. After getting over the initial shock of seeing an attractive woman in the common room, which is usually just full of sweaty soldiers wearing gym kit and playing the Xbox, I went over to discover that she was making fitted shirts for the soldiers. So I eagerly joined that queue. Since then, I've met Emma several times, and I'm always struck by not only the time she's willing to give to everyone she meets, but also by the fact that she seems to remember so much about each of us as well. So much so, in fact, that I feel she could probably run workshops on bedside manner at many of the hospitals I've been to. Charles Dickens once said that any man may be in good spirits and good temper if he is well dressed. And this is a sentiment that anyone who's had the privilege of wearing an Emma Willis shirt, I'm sure, will undoubtedly agree with. Soldiers are not natural clothes horses. The nature of our job tends to make us an awkward shape anyway. And this is a condition that a bomb blast has nothing to improve. Also, if you spend any period of time in a wheelchair, you tend to end up with a chest and shoulders that a cave troll would be proud of. I, for example, tend to look like I'm having a fight with the mainsail of a tall ship if I try and wear an off-the-shelf shirt. I'm sure over the years we've caused a bit of head scratching in the Emma Willis workshop, but the finished shirts I've received from Emma are an absolute joy to wear, and they really do improve our spirits. So I'd just like to finish by saying thank you to Emma and to all her team for the work she's done over the years, both for making soldiers feel good about themselves, but more importantly for putting on events like this evening and raising the profile of our wounded soldiers and servicemen and women. Emma has shown that with some lateral thinking and generous use of her talents she possessed, then anyone can make a real and tangible difference. And by keeping this issue in the public eye, she's ensuring our continued welfare. So thank you, Emma, and your team, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Well, I think there's nothing else to do but to say have a wonderful evening, and I think finally to raise our glasses to our amazing British forces, and especially to our injured servicemen and women, and to their future.